All right. Are you ready to take your English to the next level? Today, we're diving deep into this script, all about boosting your English skills. It's like someone created a roadmap for fluency.
Yeah, it's really well laid out.
There's so much practical advice, and we're going to break down the most impactful stuff for you.
I think we can pull out some real gems, explore why they work so well.
Absolutely. So the script, like right off the bat, it talks about daily practice.
Yeah.
And what I thought was interesting is that it doesn't say like you have to do an hour every day. Even a few minutes can make a big difference.
Right.
Why is that? Why is even just a few minutes so important?
Well, one of the key concepts in language learning is this thing called spaced repetition.
Okay.
So our brains, they're wired to forget.
Yeah.
But if you keep revisiting stuff regularly, even if it's just for a little bit,
Right.
you kind of interrupt that forgetting.
Got it.
And then the knowledge, it sticks better.
So it's almost like, I don't know, building a muscle, but for your brain.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, consistent, even like bite-sized practice is way more effective than like cramming it all in on one day.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'm definitely guilty of that.
I think we all are.
So this script also talks about having variety in how you practice. It mentions reading, listening to podcasts, watching movies, even like being on social media, all in English, of course.
Of course, yeah. It's all about constantly exposing yourself to the language, but in different ways.
Yeah. It's like cross-training, but for English.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, there was this one suggestion in the script that really stood out to me.
Oh, okay, which one?
Talking to yourself in English.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds a little strange.
Yeah.
But the script argues the fantastic way to get more fluent without any pressure because you're alone.
I know it sounds a little weird, but think about it this way. You're alone. There's no one to judge you.
Right.
So it's a safe space.
Yeah.
You can play around with new words and phrases. You can work on how you're saying things.
Yeah.
You get comfortable with how the language flows. It's like having a private rehearsal before you do it in front of people.
Exactly. You got it.
Okay, so now the script also focuses on another big thing. Expanding your vocabulary.
Yeah, of course.
Which makes sense because the more words you know, the better you can express yourself.
Right. That's kind of the whole point.
But just memorizing lists of words, ugh,
It can be super boring.
it can be. So what are some good ways to make it less of a chore?
Well, the script actually gives some really cool tips. Flashcards are a classic.
Yeah.
It also mentions using apps. I know a lot of people do that.
Oh yeah, they're great.
There's this idea of a word journal.
Oh yeah, so you don't just write down the word, but like how to use it in a sentence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the script even says, try using the new words in conversation right away.
Right, so it really sticks in your mind.
Yeah, you're not just learning a word, you're making it part of how you speak. It's really cool. Like when I was learning Spanish, my teacher would always say, use it or lose it.
Yeah, use it or lose it. That's great advice.
And it ties into something called active learning.
Oh, what's that?
So it's not just reading a definition,
Yep.
It's actually using it.
Okay.
And the script has this example using the word extraordinary. She did an extraordinary job on her presentation.
So you're not just seeing it by itself, you're hearing how it fits.
Exactly. You're putting those new words to work.
All right, but learning new words is just one piece.
Yeah.
The script then goes into something that can be, well, a bit scary.
Oh, what's that?
Speaking practice.
Yeah.
It's one thing to know all these words, but actually using them in a conversation.
Oh, totally. It's totally different.
It can be a whole other challenge. The script really emphasizes finding ways to actually speak, like with a language partner or in groups or even just practicing by yourself like we talked about before.
Right.
Why is it so important to actually speak?
You can get stuck in that studying phase,
Totally.
but actually using the language out loud,
Yeah.
that's where the magic happens.
Yeah. So how can people get past that fear and actually get more speaking practice?
Well, the script mentions language partners and conversation groups.
Right.
Have you ever tried those platforms like italki or HelloTalk?
I haven't used those specific ones, but I've heard they're really good.
Yeah, they're great resources.
And you can find people to practice with online.
Exactly. It takes the pressure off having to find someone in person right away.
I get that.
And you connect with people all over the world.
So finding a language partner online or in person is highly recommended.
For sure, yeah. But even if you don't have a partner yet, you can still find those opportunities to practice speaking.
Okay, how?
The script has this cool idea. Think of like everyday situations
Okay.
as like mini language lessons.
Give me an example.
Like if you go to a coffee shop, order in English.
Okay.
Or if you need to get somewhere, ask for directions in English.
So you're basically turning everyday life into a chance to practice.
Exactly. And those moments are usually pretty short.
Right.
No pressure.
Right. Right. So it makes it a lot less intimidating.
Exactly. Speaking of making things less intimidating,
Oh, okay.
the script talks about making mistakes. And it wants you to see it differently.
That's a scary topic.
Yeah.
Making mistakes is like the worst.
It's inevitable, but it's also so valuable.
So it's saying that mistakes are actually a good thing.
Yeah, it's a learning opportunity.
What does the script say about them?
It says when you make a mistake, don't stress.
Okay.
Just correct it and move on.
Right, because I think we all struggle with that.
Oh, I think everyone does, yeah.
Whether it's English or learning anything new.
Right.
The script wants us to embrace mistakes, as part of the process.
Exactly. Think of it this way. You're shifting your mindset from fear to like curiosity
Yeah.
and growth.
So mistakes aren't bad. They're like stepping stones to becoming fluent.
You got it, yeah.
Okay, and there's this other idea in the script that seems a little awkward at first, but I think it makes a lot of sense.
What's that?
Correcting yourself out loud. So you messed up, and then you say it the right way out loud.
It might feel strange.
Yeah, but why is it good?
It reinforces the correct way of saying it. Like, think of it as a feedback loop in your brain.
So you're basically turning slip-ups into instant learning.
Exactly. And that leads to another important point. Seeking feedback from others.
Okay, like what kind of feedback?
The script suggests finding a language partner. Or joining a conversation group where you can get constructive criticism.
Okay, so we're not just talking about any feedback. We're talking about like good feedback.
Right. Not just someone saying, that's wrong.
So how do we find the right people to give us that feedback? Would any native English speaker do?
Not necessarily. It's good to find someone who gets the challenges of learning a language. Someone who can be both encouraging and also specific.
So a good language partner will not only correct your mistakes, but they'll explain why it's wrong.
Right.
And offer you other ways to say it.
Exactly.
Okay, so that makes sense. Now, the script also talks about something else that I think is really cool.
What's that?
Immersing yourself in English as much as possible.
Oh, yeah.
And it has all these practical ideas.
Yeah.
Changing your phone's language, following English speakers on social media. I do that.
You do?
Watching movies and shows with subtitles. It's all about making English like a constant part of your life.
What's cool about that is it goes beyond just studying.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're passively absorbing it.
Got it.
You get used to the rhythm and the structure of the language.
Right, it's like osmosis, but for English.
Right. But there's a little caveat here. You want to choose good content.
Right, like watching, reality TV all day.
Yeah. It might be fun, but it might not be the most sophisticated English.
So it might not be the best way to improve your vocabulary.
Exactly.
It's about finding content that challenges you but isn't, too hard to understand.
Right. That sweet spot where you're learning but also enjoying it.
I think that's a great takeaway as we wrap up this first part of our deep dive.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not just about hitting the books, but about finding ways to make learning English something you actually enjoy.
I couldn't agree more. So before the break, we were talking about immersing yourself in English.
Right.
And the script really pushes that stepping out of your comfort zone idea.
It is. It's like you can't learn to swim just from reading a book, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You have to get in the water.
You have to get in the water. And what I think is so cool about this is it says, you can turn everyday situations
into
opportunities.
Okay.
Think about it. Ordering food
Yeah.
asking for directions,
Right.
even just chatting with a cashier,
Right.
all chances to use your English.
It's like turning those everyday things into little mini language lessons.
Exactly. And I imagine, like, the more you do it,
Yeah.
the less scary it becomes.
Right. But you know what? Making mistakes in public,
Oh, yeah,
that can be embarrassing.
it can be. But the script wants you to kind of like flip that thinking around.
Okay.
It says that making mistakes, it's just part of it.
Right.
It even suggests correcting yourself out loud.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I know it might sound weird, but it can really help.
Yeah, because you're kind of like reinforcing the correct way in your mind.
Exactly. It's like you're creating this little feedback loop for yourself.
Right, right. Okay, so we've talked about like practicing by yourself.
Yeah.
But what about feedback from other people?
Oh, yeah.
Is it important to get like input from native speakers?
It can be really valuable.
Okay.
The script definitely emphasizes getting feedback. It talks about finding a language partner or joining a group where you can get that constructive criticism.
Okay, but I think it's important to like clarify what we mean by constructive criticism.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Because like what does good feedback actually look like when you're learning a language?
You're right. Not all feedback is created equal.
Right.
You want to find someone who gets it,
Yeah.
someone who understands the challenges of learning a language.
Yeah.
Someone who can give feedback that is both specific
Okay.
but also encouraging.
Right.
A good partner won't just say, "Hey, like that's wrong."
Right.
They'll explain why it's wrong,
Okay. Yeah.
and they'll give you different ways to say it.
So it's not just about being corrected.
Right.
It's also about understanding why.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's important to remember, like, everyone learns at their own pace.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't get discouraged if you don't see results like right away.
Right.
The script talks a lot about setting realistic goals,
Okay.
breaking down those big goals into smaller, more manageable steps.
That makes a lot of sense because I think it's easy to get overwhelmed by the big picture.
Totally.
Like, I want to be fluent,
Yeah.
but if you break it down, it's like, oh, okay,
Right.
these little steps.
Exactly.
Sure,
I can
you
do
do that.
And, you celebrate those little wins along the way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's important.
Keep yourself motivated.
Right, because it's so easy to like only focus on what we haven't done yet.
Totally. Yeah.
But it's like, no, look how far I've come.
Exactly. Celebrate that.
Yeah.
So we've talked about practice, embracing those mistakes,
Yeah.
getting feedback, setting realistic goals.
Right.
It seems like this script is all about being proactive,
Yeah.
taking charge of your learning.
Okay. But does that mean like passive learning is bad?
Not at all. Not at all.
Like listening to music or watching movies?
Things like that, yeah, they could be super helpful,
Okay.
especially for like getting a feel for the rhythm of the language.
Right. Right.
But I think what this script wants is for you to be more intentional about it.
Okay.
Like you're consciously looking for opportunities to actually use the language.
Got it. So it's not just about taking it in. It's about like actually putting it to use.
Exactly. And that ties into another big thing from this script. Consistency.
Okay.
Making it a habit, something you do regularly.
Great. Even if it's just for a little bit each day.
Exactly. It's like going to the gym, right?
Yeah.
If you only go like once a month,
You're not going to see results.
you're not going to see results.
Yeah.
The script emphasizes making English part of your daily routine. Even 15 minutes every day can make a big difference over time.
I like that. It's like finding ways to fit it into your life.
Right.
So it's not a chore.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, but how do you make sure it stays interesting?
That's a good question.
Because I feel like it's easy to get bored or stuck.
Totally. The script doesn't talk about boredom directly,
Okay.
but it does mention like changing things up,
Okay, yeah.
doing different kinds of activities.
So not just like drilling vocabulary,
Right.
but like finding things that challenge you in different ways.
Exactly, yeah. Like one day you could read a news article,
Okay.
the next day you could watch a movie.
Right.
Later in the week, you could chat with your language partner.
So you're keeping your brain on its toes.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And the more you enjoy it, the more likely you are to stick with it.
That's a great point. So this script it's not just about the methods, it's also about your mindset.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head.
Okay.
It's about having that growth mindset, believing that you can actually get better with effort.
So it's not about like being born good at languages.
Right.
It's about like embracing the challenge,
Exactly. Yeah.
believing you can improve.
And that mindset shift, it can make all the difference.
Yeah. So the script is saying, be curious, experiment with different ways of learning.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to try new things.
It's almost like seeing language learning as an adventure.
Yeah, it is.
Right. Not taking yourself too seriously.
Totally. Yeah. Finding the joy in it.
Yeah. And, it talks about finding those learning methods that really click with you.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Right. Because we all learn in different ways.
Exactly. Some people are visual learners. Some people are auditory. Some people like to learn by doing things.
Right. Hands-on.
The script doesn't say there's one right way.
Okay.
It knows that different things work for different people.
So it's about finding what works for you.
Right.
Whether it's flashcards, language exchange apps, all those different techniques.
It's about personalizing it. Yeah. And being open to new things.
I love that. It's like an ongoing journey.
It is. It really is.
Okay. I think it's time to move on to another really cool part of the script.
Oh, what's that?
It's about the connection between language and culture.
Yeah, I love that part.
So we were talking about how language learning is like this journey, right?
Yeah, it's about discovery and growing.
And the script, it goes a step further.
It does, yeah.
It talks about the link between language and culture.
Right, it's not just about the words themselves.
Yeah. It says that it's really important to immerse yourself in English-speaking cultures.
It does. And there's so many ways to do that.
I've always felt like when you explore the culture behind a language, it makes it so much more fun to learn.
Right, you're not just memorizing things.
Yeah. So, how does the script suggest we do this?
Well, it talks about exploring English-speaking cultures through things like music,
Okay.
movies,
Right. I love movies.
literature, even food.
Food. Yeah, that's a great idea. It's like experiencing the language where it's actually spoken, right?
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, you see how people use it naturally.
Right. I remember when I was trying to learn Italian, I started watching these Italian films.
Cool.
With subtitles, of course.
Yeah.
And it really helped me.
In what way?
Like, I started to pick up on those everyday expressions.
Oh, yeah.
And it gave me a feel for how the language actually sounds.
It's not just of the words themselves. It's the rhythm.
Yeah, the rhythm, yeah. But the script doesn't just say passively watch movies or listen to music, right?
No, it wants you to actually do stuff.
Oh, okay.
Engage with the culture.
Like what?
So you could connect with native English speakers online,
Okay.
in person, of course.
Yeah.
You could go to events.
Cultural events?
Yeah, even try cooking traditional food.
Oh, that's a great idea. So it's like go beyond just the books and actually experience it firsthand.
Exactly. It's like seeing the world through new eyes.
I like that. And you start to understand how language is tied to culture, right?
Yeah. It shapes the language and the language reflects the culture.
So language learning, it's more than just a mental thing. It's
Right.
like a window into a different way of life.
Right. Different values, different perspectives.
It's about broadening your horizons.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's what makes this script so cool. It doesn't just focus on the technical stuff.
Okay.
It talks about that deeper connection you get when you learn about a culture.
I totally agree. It's like it's giving us a roadmap, not just to fluency, but to like a whole new world.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay, but let's be real.
Okay.
Learning a language can be tough.
It can be. Yeah.
Sometimes you feel stuck,
Yeah.
discouraged. Does the script have anything to say about that?
It does. It knows that learning a new language comes with challenges.
Okay, so it's not sugarcoating it.
No, it's honest about the ups and downs.
Okay, and what does it say about those times when you feel frustrated?
Well, first, it reminds you to be realistic.
Okay.
Language learning, it's a marathon.
Not a sprint.
Exactly.
I like that.
You're going to have days where you feel great about your progress.
Right.
You're going to have days where you feel like you're not getting anywhere.
Right. Yeah, I get that. What else does it say about dealing with frustration?
Well, it talks about the importance of having people who support you.
Oh, yeah. So like other language learners.
Right. maybe a tutor,
Or a language partner.
right? Even just friends and family who are reading for you.
Yeah, I think that's huge. Having someone who can give you encouragement when you're feeling down.
It can make all the difference.
Totally. What else?
Well, it also says to try to make the learning process fun.
Oh, okay. How?
Do things you actually enjoy.
Okay.
Like watch movies, listen to music,
Right.
read books. Just make sure they're in English.
Right. So it's not just about drills and flashcards.
Exactly. Find ways to make it enjoyable.
Make it more well-rounded.
Yeah. And when you enjoy it, you're going to stick with it.
And that's the key, right?
That's the key. Yeah.
I think that's a great point to end on.
It is. Yeah.
It's not just about the destination, it's about enjoying the journey.
Absolutely. And speaking of the journey, this script, it's been a gold mine.
It really has.
Practical tips, great strategies. It's really inspiring.
I couldn't agree more. I hope everyone listening feels like they can take their English to the next level.
I hope so too. Yeah.
Now, before we go, I want to leave everyone with one last thought.
Okay.
The script asks this question: what's one small change you can make today to add more English to your life?
That's a great question.
Yeah, think about it. Maybe listening to a podcast on your commute,
Yeah.
reading an English news article online.
Or just changing the language on your phone.
Right, little things.
Every little bit adds up. Just remember, be consistent, be curious, and have fun with it.
Well said. That wraps up this episode of The Deep Dive.
It does.
We hope you enjoyed it.
We hope it was helpful.
Until next time, happy learning.